Hi guys, it's me again, Lara-Lyn, and this is another post-COVID recovery video that I hope is going to help you on your recovery journey. I'm on day 14 today. My husband is on day 8, which I think is the sort of peak where things get difficult. And in my two previous videos, I covered mostly breathwork and movement. And today I wanted to cover another very important aspect of illness and recovery, and that's of course our mood and our mental state. So a lot of what I've put together in these videos is based on what we've been experiencing, and I hope that that's helpful for you. As very active and really healthy people, we've noticed that not being able to be active and feeling quite unhealthy for so many days in a row is very wearing and very taxing on our mental state and our mood as a whole. And of course, the lower we feel, the less helpful that is for us to start feeling healthy. So some of the tools that are really helpful, I think, is, of course, a little bit of tiny movements that you can do. So if you'd like to, you can visit my previous videos that shows a little bit of breath work and movement. But then there are also so many other tools that we can use to help us just lift our mood a little bit and to just help to declutter our mental space. So one of those, of course, is meditation. So I'd like to go through a very short meditation with you. I really believe in taking small bite sizes of things and then building on those from day to day. So I even recommend just doing 1 or 2 minutes of meditation a day just to center yourself. And then from that space, you can make a couple of better decisions for how you're going to go through the rest of your day. So one of the easiest styles of meditation, I believe, is just focusing on the breath. There's a common misconception out there that meditation is when you just stop thinking or you clear your head of all thoughts. And of course, it's just not the way that the brain or the mind works. But what we can do is, instead of thinking of a million things, and you'll notice if you've ever paid attention, that sometimes, especially when our mood is low or when we're ill or when we're worried or fearful or have anxiety, it's as though there's like 50 different thoughts all coming in, and they're like pieces of string all getting very tangled together. And meditation can help us, first of all, to just take a little bit of space from those things by focusing on one thing and just kind of like decluttering, getting rid of all of the junk. And then after we've created a little bit of mental space, we can come back to those things and try to organize our thoughts. So let's do a little meditation together. Come into any position that's comfortable for you. I recommend a seated position. This can be in a chair, of course. You can also do meditation lying down, but there is a real risk of falling asleep. However, if you haven't been sleeping well, then go ahead, lie down, and then maybe you'll get some good rest. Otherwise, I recommend sitting wherever you can that you can have a long spine and feel your sit bones really grounded. Try to keep your spine erect without making yourself uncomfortable. And then relax your shoulders. Close your eyes. So firstly, let's just focus on coming into our body. So just notice the things that you can about feeling your physical body. Maybe you notice where your hands are resting. You notice how your sit bones are connected to the chair or the floor. Maybe you can feel up and down your spine. You can actively relax your shoulders. You can even notice as your lips are very gently touching each other. And then from here, we'll bring our mental awareness around our breathing. So the first thing that happens when we start to really notice our breath is that we start to unconsciously or actually consciously control the breath. We make the breath a little deeper than normal, a little longer than normal, and that's quite natural and also quite a nice place to start. So go ahead and take a couple of really long, slow, deep breaths. Always in and out through the nose. And then just start to follow your breath, noticing the air as it goes in the nose and down into the lungs. And noticing the breath as it goes out. And start to notice more and more about your breath. The coolness around the nostrils on the inhale. And the warmth on the exhale. Also notice the natural movement of the body in the breath. Maybe you're really able to notice the movement of the belly, the ribs, the chest, and then just start to decide where do you most easily detect the breath in your own body. For some people, it'll be around the nose or the upper lip. For others, it might be the chest, maybe the belly. Just decide for yourself, where do you most easily notice the breath? And just focus on that space. Notice how the breath feels in your body. And then you can assign some silent mental labels for the breath, such as inhaling when you inhale, exhaling when you exhale. Maybe you prefer rising and falling. Or maybe something as simple as just in and out. And as you're following the breath, just use these silent mental labels following the breath. If you're new to meditation, before long you'll notice that the mind becomes bored of this very simple task and starts to think about something else. It's okay, just notice that, and again try to bring all of your mental attention back to the feeling of the breath and the inhaling and exhaling. Another thing that you'll notice about the mind is that you're perfectly capable of, on half of your mind stays with the inhaling and the exhaling, and the other half of your mind goes for a walk. As soon as you notice this, just try to bring all of your mental attention back to your breath and the rising and falling. Very nice. Let's release our meditation with a big inhale through the nose. and out through the mouth like blowing through a straw. Let's do one more. And then start to slowly flutter open the eyes. So even this really short meditation, you'll notice, will give you a little bit of mental space. Instead of just having all of that craziness floating around, suddenly you've just focused on one thing, and now you can start to detangle the strings. So one of the easiest ways to do this is to write things down. I know that you hear a lot about journaling and maybe you have some resistance to it, but you can even do this on scrap paper, you can do this on a calendar. The point is to write down the things that are stealing your mental capacity or really preoccupying you and just kind of coming up again and again and again, but that you don't really feel you can do anything about. It's really nice to just list those things down, and it really helps us also to have a full coherent thought instead of having half of a thought and then another thing kind of overtakes it. So just list these things down, and then you could decide for yourself, what are priorities? What are things that I can do something about now? What are things that I can ask friends and family to help me with? What are things that are actually worries that probably will never come into fruition and I can cross them out? And what are things that I need to possibly put in my calendar to schedule for next week or whenever I'm feeling better? This is really going to help you to declutter your mind. Think about your mind a little bit like a really messy closet. You need to kind of go through there and you need to just sort some stuff out. So another thing that's really easy to do from bed is reading. And I really recommend not being on social media as much as you can. I know it's very tempting to get onto your phone and scroll, but just remember, social media is a wild jungle of opinions and information. As many billion people as there are in the world, there's that many nuanced opinions and everything that's going on, and the whole smorgasbord of things in between. So try to really limit your time on social media, maybe give yourself set times when you can be there, and rather use your time a little bit more usefully, either reading something like a really good book that actually takes your attention for long periods of time, or maybe figuring out if you can learn something that's a little bit more in your interests and something that you can skill build a little bit. So these are two things you can do from bed: reading and writing, very helpful skills, even if you're starting small. In terms of your meditation, one of the things that I see a lot of people do when they decide they're going to start with a meditation regime is that they try to take on 20 minutes every day or something. That doesn't sound like a long time, but it's a pretty big commitment. I would really recommend starting with something super small, like 1, 2, or 3 minutes a day, and then deciding on which time of day is the easiest for you. It's either when you wake up in the morning and you have a lot of mental space, or it's at the end of the day right before you go to bed, because, that's the most consistent thing that you do, is go to bed, have your water next to you. Okay, I'm going to sit, I'm going to meditate for 3 minutes, give myself some mental space, and then try to have a good night's rest. So I hope that this video is helpful for you. As always, I really encourage you to reach out to me. Let me know if there's any material you would like me to cover in the next video. And I'm wishing you a wonderful and speedy recovery. Namaste.